What if I told you that over 3 nights you had Limp Bizkit and Pantera and Slipknot headlining 3 separate nights of a festival in the middle of nowhere, Ohio? What would you say, Chris?
I'd say, are they a sponsor for this podcast? Because welcome to the Could Be Better podcast, folks. And we are here with my best friend, Colin McGuire. Hi, Colin.
We spent so much time on POD, which I was happy about. I was very, very happy about. Welcome to Southtown. Like, I knew all of those words, but I also believe, Chris, you knew all of those words.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite records when I bought it at the Christian Light bookstore on Route 40 here in Frederick.
So here's the thing, though. Like, POD, those songs that became popular, I didn't know them after Southtown. Like, that came after that. It's wild to me that all of that happened. And I'm assuming the same thing happened with you. Like, you found that band, then all of a sudden you saw them on TRL, and that was a thing, right?
Yeah, so I'm a little younger than you, and I also was a little more homeschooled than you. And so I didn't have TRL, I didn't watch MTV, all that kind of stuff. So unfortunately, I just saw that Satellite was the new record that they came out with, and then I bought it, and then I was like, oh, this is everywhere. And then it was not Boom, there was another one.
What was the songs?
Youth of the Nation. Yeah, that was everywhere. You can't escape it. And so that was just huge. And I think they were touring a bunch of like the Christian festival circuits that I was going to. So it's like, it was insane. It was, we are, and it was everybody, we are, the whole thing. Speaking of We Are the Nation, Texas Roadhouse Nation, Could Be Better
Youth
Nation.
of the Nation. The
Youth of the Nation. We are here only because we are we don't even like doing this podcast anymore. We're only doing this here for our sponsors, which is Texas Roadhouse, which we have gift cards for giveaways. Colin, let's do a giveaway right now.
Okay.
For anyone that's listening to this podcast that decides they would like a Texas Roadhouse gift card, you need to go on our YouTube channel and you need to say, gimme that money. And first one that does it will get a how much gift card? How much on the gift card?
$20. We'll say $20. No.
Okay. So one more time, if you're listening to this podcast, go on YouTube, find us. It's Could Be Better, man. And you find this episode and comment in there. First off, subscribe to the channel. Don't be an asshole. And you're going to then follow our podcast, and you're going to say, gimme that money, and you'll get a $20 gift card. First one that does it, if Texas Roadhouse. If we get a bunch of people, because let's be real, our guest is like Rockstar Central, super nice guy, going to be a fun one. But it's like, if there's a bunch of people, maybe we'll have to have them fight to the death. We'll see.
So here is how you win that gift card. You have to use the hashtag Youth of a Nation.
The Nation. You got to know which nation.
Was it the? I always thought it was the.
Yeah, no. Youth of the Nation, because I think ethnocentrism was a real thing back in those times, But also, this podcast is brought to you by Old Mother Brewing Company. We have the best beer in Frederick, and it is just delicious. And so there's tons of beers that are coming out. They have guest taps now. So if you're here in downtown Frederick, not only do we, Could Be Better, book shows in the back at Old Mother, we do everything from R&B to hip hop to blues to jazz to death metal to stoner metal to grunge rock to garage rock to Timberwolves magic rock. We do it all. Shout out to Front Desk Brett for printing those sick shirts. We do it all. So anyway, come check out Old Mother Brewing Company in Frederick, Maryland. They're the greatest. And finally, lastly, our lovely season 2 sponsors, Special Tees. So you can check them out, special-tees.com. You can get 10% off your first order. They do shirts, they do hats, they do hoodies, they do koozies, they do everything. They do freaking lanyards. Check out those lanyards, special-tees.com. Colin, can you move it across the side so it looks like one of like those planes at the beach? Dude, that's so good. Guys, if you're not tuning into the YouTube channel for this visuals, you are missing out on 50% of the fun on this show. So it was great talking with Chris. I've known Chris for a long time, and he and I have been friends for not as long, but it was really cool to have him on. He came in last minute. We had some complications with another guest, and he was able to kind of just jump in, move some things around. So I appreciate his time. So for folks that are tuning in to hear more about Chris, we'll get there in a second, but Colin, friendship is hard, man.
If you really want to jump into that, we're going to have a 3-hour podcast. But the thing here was he was somebody who actually had things to say, like he he's I'm reluctant to say this, but Chris, this is your friend, so you can tell me if I'm wrong. He's a big deal. He's a big deal, right? Like he's a big fucking deal. He's on this festival. When I look, and I mentioned this in the interview that we just did, and I'll do it again right now. They're playing on the second night on Saturday.
What's the fest called? What's the fest called?
It is called, oh goodness, Incarceration.
I love that you sounded it out.
Well, it's very
it's metal.
Yeah.
Incarceration Fest, or
yes.
whatever it's called.
And this is going to happen. What I see, the Ohio State Reformatory. Is that like, this is in Ohio, I guess?
Yeah.
Mansfield, Ohio. I just saw it. July 14th through 16th this year, Mansfield, Ohio. This metal festival, they are playing Saturday. And anybody, and this has become the sort of meme, the trendy thing, the festival posters. You see this all the time. Sure. Who's playing which day here? Which names are in big type? Which names are in small type? Which names are bold? Which names are not bold? On Saturday, they are on the second line. They're on the second line. And I'll just read this to you right here. And then, Chris, you can talk about it if you want. Pantera's going to headline Lamb of God, In This Moment, Motionless in White, Under Oath, which we talked about a little bit. And then the next band down is The Ghost Inside. So this is a big deal, right?
Yeah, this was a cool episode. Chris is, he doesn't carry himself in a way where he's an asshole. He's not bigger riches, anything else like that. He had things to say, but it's also like he's done a lot. He and his band, and for folks that don't know, his band's been through a shit ton of stuff, and that's even just not even giving it the justice that it deserves. But like Chris is just one of and honestly, I think all of the guys in that band are just humble people. And so it's really cool for them to be where they are now after everything that happened. They played Riot Fest, I think last year, or maybe it was the year before that. And it's like they were way up on the flyer too. It's freaking sick. So
Riot Fest is the one. Like that's the thing. That's the one, right?
Yeah, Riot Fest is sick. And so it's so cool to see them doing all these cool things. For folks that are tuning in from Chris's Twitch, or checking out the podcast or anything else like that, thanks for tuning in. You're going to hear hopefully some new stories that you haven't heard before, but also for our listeners, Chris is just a great guy. And so we're just very fortunate to be friends with him. Now I'd say, hey, if you hit him up to come play on the Sticks or NBA Jam, I'm sure he'd show up.
Where does he live? I want him over here. I will run him out the gym. I just want to know how.
He's in his studio that we saw him in for folks that are tuning into the YouTube. That studio is at his house.
Let's go. I mean, we'll pull the curtain back a little bit here. We did 2 episodes tonight, and 2 people that have never been through this studio. We have the arcade NBA Jam. I think at this point, Chris, you brought over a whiteboard that we can erase and make a tournament bracket. We have enough. At this point, we could probably run an 8 to 16 person tournament.
Sure.
For NBA Jam. I think we'd do that.
Yeah.
You tell me if I'm wrong.
No, I think you're right. And I think we have a show that we're cooking up for September with some really, really good friends of ours. And I feel like the idea because the show is that show that we're not talking about more than this is going to be on a Saturday. I think we can finally make. I think we can finally. Sorry,
he's
mustache
gone.
hair.
He has COVID.
Hair got caught.
He has COVID.
Yeah,
people.
and I've COVID. That's why we're also doing this over Zoom.
That's why we're doing this. But we do that in September.
Yeah, I think we do it in September. I think we come over to the house and I think make a whole thing of it. I think there's a buy-in. Yeah. I think we make it betting.
I do too.
I think we do everything just like the craziest amount of crazy, because why not? I think we get food, we get drinks, we do the whole thing up. So
that's what I
and we only invite people that are on the podcast or pay a fee, which if you're interested in paying fees, you can check out our website where we have a place where if you like the podcast, you can take your
who's
PayPal
paying
money.
fees? I have no idea what this is about.
Well,
right
well, there's your entry fee, but then also if people like
that's
the show,
okay. That's right.
But if people like the show, there's a PayPal link on our website where people can throw anything our way to help us
yeah.
do something. So anyway, before we get into this interview, a couple of things again for people that are still listening. Thank you. First off is so the Could Be Better podcast network has two of the podcasts that are on this network. So we have This Is Not My Magnum Opus, which talks about smaller, lesser known craft based art that is just really, really cool. And so they are their episodes come out on Tuesdays. And so again, go to our website, couldbebettermeh.com. It's all in the show notes. We have that podcast, and we also have the weekly with Kiki. Kiki is a local legend who also runs Out 40 Media, and she does amazing things for the community. And this is kind of a fun way for her to let her hair down a little bit and just get kind of shitty and throwing in some digs that she may not mean, but then also she'll ask some questions with some other guests, with some other folks about kind of getting into some things about their artwork and stuff like that. And also she has a great segment called Dickhead of the Week. So if you're interested in that, the weekly with Kiki, wherever you find your podcast, that's also great. Again, all on our website, couldbebettermen.com. It's all in the show notes. And we're wrapping up here on our advertisements, because what is a podcast without ads? We also have a great show to announce that I think we've talked about at least once before, but maybe this is the debut. But so Saturday, March 11th, which National 311 Day for those that are looking into it, it is the band Seven Teller finishing up their 2-week tour, and they have local support by one and the only Double or Nothing, featured by the co-host of this podcast, Colin McGuire. It's going to be awesome. So again, it's at Old Mother on 311, 6:30. It's free. It is 21 plus to drink, so all ages can attend, and it's over by 10. You really have no excuse not to go. It's great. And they have a food restaurant spot inside.
They have a restaurant. There's no food truck. It's a restaurant in there.
It's a restaurant. And so it used to be a food truck, and now it's a full fucking restaurant. They have wine. They should have liquor at this point, and they're going to be doing some really cool things. So check it out. 311, Seven Teller, and Double or Nothing at Old Mother Brewing Company at 6:30 p.m. It's free. I had a great time with this episode. We get to talk to our friend Chris Davis from The Ghost Inside, Ironfoot Audio, and really just are all around just good dudes. So appreciate you for joining us, Chris, and hope you all enjoy. Like and subscribe on our YouTube channel, and tell us how bad this is, because we need the negative reinforcement. Love you all. So, speaking of breakups, we are here with my friend and just same named individual, Chris Davis, from Ironfoot Studio to The Ghost Inside to Texas in July to Behold the Flood. What else have we done together that I know of things that you do that I didn't name?
Well, our wives are friends. That's cool.
Our wives are friends. They used to be coworkers. How cool is that?
Yeah.
Can anybody hear me, by the way? Can you guys hear me? Okay, good.
You sound
because
beautiful.
Chris actually blackballed me from this podcast, but the most important thing is that your wives get together, right? That they like each other. That's so cool. That's the best thing ever. Is it not?
Yeah, it would just be cool if Chris liked me so that we could all hang out. It's like our wives like each other.
I say
but
the
Chris
same
wants
shit,
to do
man.
with me.
Well, it's also fun because like I'll like look over and like she's like texting like a whole book to Chelsea, and then I look back and like Chelsea's saying like a whole book back to her. I'm like, you guys just have so much like tolerance and just like love for each other, I guess, because I look at like the text between you and I, Chris, and it's like 2 sentences, like tops.
Yeah, it's pretty miserable in comparison. Yeah,
I did not know that I was labeled as Chelsea in Laura's phone. I didn't know that.
Heyo.
That didn't get a pop. Fuck. God damn, I'm done.
I should see myself out and let you guys sort this whole thing out.
Actually, you're here for our mediator. I hope you're ready.
Fuck, I didn't sign up for that.
Fucking Chris. God damn it. Don't you know anything about Chris?
So we are taping this episode a few weeks before, a few weeks after a bunch of stuff just came out. So you guys are TGI's playing up The Ghost Inside for folks that don't know, which is, come on, let's wake up. TGI is announcing a whole bunch of festivals coming up. Which one is your favorite? And let's make that promoter mad.
Oh man. Well, I don't want to make anybody mad. So please don't be mad. I think I'm most excited to play Incarceration, which is we actually just today as we're taping this, we announced that today. Danny Wimmer Presents is like a big promotion company. They do pretty much all the big rock and metal festivals in the States, and this is our first kind of step into playing one of his festivals. So I'm like super honored that they're having us this year and kind of giving us our shot. So that's the one that I'm probably looking forward to the most. But pretty much all of the festival lineups here that we are getting to be a part of this year are pretty crazy. So they're all going to be awesome.
Well, let's take 1 second, because I had the ability, once you said that, to actually the power of Google look up the festival.
Sure.
The first night is headlined by Limp Bizkit.
Never heard of them.
Now, if there was one question I could ever ask somebody who's ever played a festival with Limp Bizkit, it would be this. What is your favorite Limp Bizkit song?
Oh, come on. All right. So, well, I have to preface this with the fact that I was such a giant Limp Bizkit fan in middle school.
Me too. The drums. I've bonded with so many people over John Otto.
John Otto's the man.
Yeah. Oh God, I feel like not a dork anymore. Thank you.
Kids used to call me Fred Durst in middle school because I was so into it. He was also like a cultural icon at the time on MTV and stuff. So,
icon. That was Britney Spears. Let's get real. Come on.
Well, yes, fair enough. Whatever. He was a whole thing. I don't know. I mean, all of Chocolate Starfish is pretty iconic, but maybe I mean, Hot Dog, just like the first track on the record is like, sure. I mean, it's great record.
You want to start a podcast? You and me?
Sure do. Chris, you're out.
See ya. Bye. Chris 2.0. So who's headlining the night you guys are playing?
Of all bands in the world, Pantera. Which is crazy, or the celebration of Pantera. However, I know it's been a whole ordeal since they announced all these shows. But again, as a band that I like, greatly influenced me growing up. To be playing with any form of that band in a way that's celebrating the legacy of that band and what they did for heavy music in general is pretty crazy. And we're getting to do it a couple times this year, which is wild.
Well, let's talk about this for just 1 second, if you may. You are on, and this is a pretty big deal. You are on the second, well, not the second line. I guess Pantera is the first line.
Sure.
Then they have the bands on what would be the second line of all of the bands. But then you have a big font. You have the big font on I guess what would be the third line. I would consider the second line. but you are above Mushroom Head,
Sure.
and you just follow Under Oath.
Yep.
This is crazy. Like, is this not a great thing, man?
It's yeah, it's the kind of thing that I never imagined happening. You know, like I Under Oath was one of my favorite bands all through high school. You know, like all of these bands that kind of shaped who I am musically and the way that I think, and even a lot of my worldview, kind of slowly over time becoming not just my idols, but like my peers and my friends and people that I can like have real life day-to-day conversations with and stuff. I still have to sit back and kind of pinch myself that these opportunities like have kind of fallen in place for me over the years. It's pretty wild.
So on the first night, that Limp Bizkit headlines also that night is POD. So if I give you everybody, who are you going to talk to first? Fred Durst or all of POD? Which one?
Well, my band, before I joined, but my band did cover POD, so I feel obligated to track down POD. And we're starting this annual festival thing for like based around the anniversary of our accident. And for the first time ever, we played the cover of Southtown.
You did Southtown. Oh my God, South. That's it. I'm taking off my clothes.
Yeah, and the best part is Southtown is like it's before they popped, right? Yep. Fundamentals of Southtown. That record is so good.
Anybody who has that record, I'm in on. You are my best friend ever.
Yeah. Between that and like Bullet the Blue Sky, some of those songs on that record are so fucking good. And then it's like, cool. Satellite did huge things for them as a band. And
Southtown. That's it.
But Southtown is where it's at. And so,
absolutely.
Yeah. And so for folks that are tuning in that know about the bus crash, right? Like super big stuff. Sorry, Con's like dial it back. That's a little dark. But he's like, I'm not pro bus crash here. But like, so it's called Rebirth something, right?
The Rebirth Day Bash, and I don't know whether that name will stick or not. I don't know, but it just, I threw it out there 2 years ago, still in the middle of the pandemic, and I did a whole Twitch stream around that. I made like a whole day event out of it, and it kind of just unintentionally carried over to this year's event. And whether it'll stick or not, I don't know. But the idea is that we will do some sort of annual, whether it's a show, whether it's a couple of days of shows like we did this past year, but something to celebrate the fact that the 10 of us are still here and get to do this still, and that, you know, pay respects to the, you know, unfortunately the two people that we did lose, but something instead of you know, no matter what I do personally, and I know that some of the other guys in the band deal with this too, but no matter what I do to set myself up mentally going into that day, if I'm sitting at home, it always ends up being a bit of a drag of a day. So trying to do something that turns it into more of a positive situation. And like this year we did like a fan fest, and we raffled off a bunch of stuff and raised money for like a dog shelter charity out in Las Vegas where we hosted the show and the rest of the guys live. So trying to turn it into more of a positive day instead of a day that we kind of sit around and mourn and be sad.
Yeah. And maybe this is like a fucked up question to ask. And so if it is, we'll just scoot on right by it. But it's like, is there any family that like the two people that didn't make it through left behind that like you were able to give money to, or is there anything like that goes back to that, or like, is that complicated?
I know I'm not sure about the driver of the other vehicle. I know that we've established contact with them a couple times to just let you know, like, you know, we're obviously there for them.
Right. And for folks, I guess that's not the driver of the bus was not on your crew.
He was, I mean, he was working for the band, but he was not a part of our regular crew. We had hired him for that tour. The guy who was driving our bus, we did reach out, and I believe we helped, you know, his family in whatever ways that we could. And I believe that some of the guys still are in contact with his wife. You know, he left behind, I believe, two pretty young children. So, you know, we've tried to make it very clear to her that, like, hey, you know, we obviously don't, they're from Texas. None of us live in Texas, but
right.
You know, no matter where you are, you guys have 10 extra family members now because of this. And, you know, we anytime you need anything, feel free to reach out to us. And I know we've tried to do the same for the driver of the semi that we were in the you know, collision with, but you just never know when you're overstepping boundaries in a situation like that, though. You want them to know that, hey, we see you and we know when we're going through it with you, but you don't want to overstep that boundary either. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you're ripping open that scab every time. It's like, hey, and then I'll say, come off weird. Hey, we want to give you money. It's like, well,
Right.
hey, we just want our person back, but I get it.
Right.
But to be fair, looking at the festival, looking at the photos, looking at the things that you all were doing, it was cool. It was almost kind of like an immersive experience, like almost like the ultimate like TGI fan experience, which was just cool.
Yeah, I mean that's what we were going for. Like the fan fest thing, I didn't know what to expect. It was a free event for people to come to. I didn't know if there's going to be 5 people that show up or 500, and a couple hundred people showed up, and Zach and I did like a little faux guitar clinic thing. We played through a couple songs, answered a couple questions, gave some guitars away. Like it was a really legitimately cool few hours to just have one-on-one time with the people who like gave us this opportunity, the people who literally, when we were ready to hang it up after the accident, the people who pulled us back out of it. It was the most one-on-one way we could have possibly given back to them, and it was awesome. I had a great time, and I'm looking forward to doing it again this year.
That's awesome. Colin and I expect tickets. Now, with that being said,
we don't get them from the 9:30. Wait. Oh,
we do.
mind.
We get
Sorry.
everything we need from IMP and the 9:30 Club. Thank you for being partners.
Thank you
with
so
Frederick
much.
Venues.
Yeah, thank you so much. But you can fuck. Anyway, I'm sorry. Did I say that? Did I say any of that?
Respectfully, fuck you. But thank you. We love you. All right.
No,
So,
respect. Yeah.
Chris, with that, you're also, for people that are tuning into our YouTube channel that are watching this right now, they can see your immaculate studio, which has been cleaned at least twice today, I'm sure.
No, not even close.
which runs counter to my bedroom or the Could Be Better Studios, which has not been cleaned since 2008.
I mean, why would you? Because it could be better.
Wow,
You'd be ruining the brand.
Oh,
he's got us. He's got us.
having the preposition. Yeah,
he is also encroaching on trying to replace me, and I see what this is, and I don't like it. Chris,
I'm gonna get there by the end of this.
Your
I'm into it. I'm into it.
Because look at that, Colin. You could be taping there. There's a couch behind Chris, and you just can't see it, and it's super.
I have slept on couches for years. Can I please sleep with you?
Yes.
Oh,
sure.
Stop. So you have a studio, and
Yes.
you're based out of Frederick and
Yep.
ish, and so at this point, you, tell people a little bit about Ironfoot, because essentially it was like, hey, you're doing TGI. It was this whole thing, a bunch of stuff happened, bunch of stuff then happened again, and now more stuff is happening, and so now you have a super sweet studio and a super sweet place. Where friends of ours, friends that have come on the podcast, band Hospital Ray has been in your studio. We probably call need to reach out to that band Granite State. Didn't they record with you too, Chris?
They've done some stuff here. Yep.
So there's been a lot of people that have come through, and they've all said great things about the space, which we said you're all lying. We know Chris is a terrible human being.
Yeah, absolutely, they're lying.
Before we get too far into it, where is the studio so people know?
So I'm in Walkersville. So I mean,
okay, Walkersville, Maryland.
Yep, that's correct. Yes,
we are a worldwide podcast. We have been commissioned to come to Japan to talk about music in Frederick, Maryland. So I just wanted to make sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, that's, let me know how that goes. Yeah. So yeah, I'm in Walkersville, Maryland, it's just Frederick. It's just other Frederick. But yeah, I mean, I started this literally just as a hobby, because I, back in my old local band, Behold the Flood, as you mentioned earlier, playing the classic Mount Airy Fire Hall shows, I was the main songwriter in the band, and I was getting frustrated with trying to only write at band practice. So I went down the rabbit hole that I think most people do when they get annoyed of that situation is, how do I program drums? How do I record my guitars at home? And it just became a practice of trying to write music on my own. And then it was like, okay, well, how do I make these crappy songs that I'm writing sound a little bit better? Oh, I have fun doing this. Oh, my friends want to record their songs too. Well, I can do that for free. And then it just all snowballed from there. So when we got in the accident, my focus obviously had to shift a little bit, being that there was I didn't know if we were going to play any shows ever again or make any more music. I had to shift all of my focus, both for just mental health and obviously for income with not playing shows. So I started trying to record bands, and so I've slowed down a little bit since the band's become a little bit more active. I have 2 children now, and I'm married, and so when I'm home, I try to spend the time that I can with my family. But I'll still take on project like you said, the Hostile Array guys. Anytime those guys want to work on something, I will always clear my calendar for them, just because I love those guys. They're good friends. They're a fun hang, and the projects are always fun. So I'm always in here doing creative stuff, whether it's for one of my bands or I'm streaming on Twitch, or I'm just taking on projects that I think are cool. Like I'm working on right now, and I'll go ahead and spoil it. I mean, they've teased it a little bit, but local-ish legends in Alcatraz. They're from Virginia, but they were big in our local scene here for a long time. They are making a comeback, and I am in the middle of working on 2 songs with them right now.
That's awesome.
Breaking news.
Andres is so fucking nice.
He is the nicest human on the planet. He truly is. And he's still the same way he was all the way back then. He's the exact same person.
And that makes me so happy because he was always like, hey, I'm so scared for my life when you're behind the microphone because your band is frightening.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, like he was always so like, let's be honest. Everyone's a piece of shit until you turn 18.
Yes.
And I was not any exception. So when I was under 18 going to fire hall shows, he was so kind to me always. And like he shouldn't have been. And I appreciate it even still to this day. And I'm in my 30s now, right? So it's just he's just such a cool dude. And I'm glad that's happening. When are those coming out? Do you know?
I don't know yet. So we just finished drum tracking the other day. So I'm in like the kind of editing phases to get it shipped out for mixing. I would say in a couple months probably. I know that they're trying to make some stuff happen. But yeah, the songs are awesome. I mean, it's stuff like that. It's like when they asked me, it's like, well, yes, obviously I will do it, because it's like a full circle. They were the band in our scene for a long time. You know, they were the band, and I just talked about this on my Twitch stream the other day. But like they were the band that like every other heavy band in our scene was modeling themselves after. Oh, they use that gear. We all have to get that. Oh, they do these moves on stage. Got to look like them. And it's like, it was a huge inspiration for me to like see a band taking it that serious and putting on a quote unquote professional show and like trying to be more than just a local band, like actually putting in the work and making the moves. And it made a huge impact on me. So getting asked to work on songs with them was like a crazy full circle moment for me. So it's like, yeah, 100%. Whenever you want to do it, however, yeah, we're doing it. We're doing it.
That's awesome. I remember some of the biggest shows of the Fire Hall. It was in Alcatraz 1962, 72?
62.
So it was them playing, and then it was Behold the Flood, and then fucking an Obscure Signal. Like those are some of like the biggest shows, like just of all time. And it was just a ton of fun. So that's cool that you're doing that. And I have one more thing, and then we'll kind of get into some. I guess we'll get into our specialty segment.
What do you mean you guess? We have to ask the 5 questions.
I know,
we have to.
We're legally obligated to do it. So
we signed a contract
in blood.
I gave so much blood to this, and I'm fat. I'm fat. So...
I had to cart you out. So in the studio, so you're going through this whole process of like working with bands, cutting things back. You're being selectively choosy. If some band's like, man, you know what? I fucking need to get in with Chris Davis. Like, and you are only looking at emails or DMs. What is a selling point? Like, tell people how to woo you at this point.
I mean, it's not anything special, but it's the music. Like, I just want to know. To me, it's more about making something that I think is genuine and cool and interesting. Because anytime that I'm in here, I'm not with my family. And so to me, it's got to feel like it's going to be something that's fresh or exciting for whoever it's going to end up going out to be consumed by. And a lot of it is like, are the people cool? Like, sure. A lot of it at the end of the day is about whether the hang is good or not. But
this guy can hang right here.
He certainly looks like he can hang. That's for sure. But yeah, I mean, the easiest way is like, is the material cool? Like that'll be the first thing to be like, yeah, I absolutely have to work on this.
Sure. And obviously a budget, right? Like they need at least 7 zeros at the end.
I mean, if they want to give me that, fine by me. But nah, I'm a little bit cheaper than that, like 6 zeros.
So speaking of 7 zeros, our specialty segment where we have our sponsor Specialties, which if you're going to print anything in Frederick, Maryland, they are your one-stop shop for all printing desires. The shirt that Colin's wearing, for people that are tuning into our YouTube channel, you can see he printed that. Brett, front desk Brett, printed this shirt at Specialties. And you can get 10% off your first order if you use promo code could be better, or just send them an email and tell them Could Be Better sent you. We just got some super sick shirts from them. There's gonna be a ton of bands listening to this. You get like a discount if you pick up this stuff from the shop in Frederick. You can check it out. It's just super cool, and they're really fast and they do great work. So check them out, special-tees.com, and tell them Could Be Better sent you for 10% off your first order. Chris, this is obviously, you're a long time listener of the show, and so you know exactly what this next one's going to go.
I feel like you're probably being sarcastic, but I do listen to the show, so joke's on you.
I'm an asshole. We all know this, and this is reason number 74 why you're trying to take over as guest for this or a host for this show. So we have our segment where we're going to ask you 5 rapid fire questions. Colin went first last time, so I'm going to go first this time.
Sure.
Chris, between Metallica or Pantera, who's your favorite band?
Metallica. I almost said the wrong one. Metallica, without a doubt. I don't know if that's depressing for you or not, but it's true. That's how I feel.
It's not, but I also need to know, do you like their new song?
There's 2 of them. I like them both. I like the first one of between the 2 more. Lux Aeterna's the better song.
It's comes out so fast and it just rips, and I'm all about it.
And it's catchy. It's more anthemic. It feels like it's going to be a really cool live song. I think the first of the 2 is better.
Sure.
What makes you feel better as a musician? Is it recording in the studio or playing out?
Ooh, that's so tough. Legitimately, that is. I mean, at the end of the day, it's probably playing live because it is more special to me now than it ever has been, just because of everything we've been through. And I think that I unintentionally took a lot of that for granted prior to the accident. And now every time I walk on stage, I tend to get a little emotional at some point throughout the set and try not to cry on the stage like a big baby. So it's probably that. But I also find myself... Like, we're in the process of writing right now. In fact, 3 of our guys are in LA doing a couple writing sessions right now. Hopefully we'll be able to get enough stuff together to put some music out later this year. But about when we get to this point is when I start really itching to like get in the studio and be creative. So it's really hard for me because I love them both so much. But I think I have to go with playing live.
Can you say who you guys are doing stuff in LA with?
Well, so they're just writing right now. So there's like no actual recording going on. So they've bounced between a couple of producers. There's no we're just kind of just seeing where the vibe feels the best to figure out who we're gonna go do the record with. Really,
that's awesome. Having options is legit.
Yeah.
Third question is, so you're seeing a live band and they have 2 guitar players. And all of a sudden you're watching this and you're like, hey, I hear a 3rd extra guitar coming out of nowhere. And then all of a sudden
you were going to go here.
And then all of a sudden you hear this fucking like sick synth track. And then all of a sudden you're like, hey, there's only one singer on stage, but these harmonies sound dope. Where do you stand with the live bands using tracks or not? Are you for it? Are you against it? Do you just not give a shit?
I knew you were going to go here. I am for whatever the fuck the band wants to do. I don't think there's a right or wrong way. My band plays to a click track. Guess what? There's a couple parts where we wrote parts that have 3 or 4 guitar parts. Do I care that it's being played through a laptop? No, because you know what happens if I stop playing? It doesn't sound right because I'm still playing. And I just think that I know that this came up because we kind of had a little bit of a conversation on social media about this the other day because
it was our pre-show meeting.
Yeah. Oh, yes, right. That's what it was.
I wasn't there, so fuck both of you. Well, fuck all y'all. That's it.
What you're finding out right now is I'm actually coming in to take both of your spots, and this is just my podcast now.
Yes, I'm into that. I'm okay with that.
But there's a conversation that won't go away because of some dumb drama last year with Sebastian Bach and Eddie Trunk and Ronnie Radke, and because he canceled the show for not having a laptop. But the dude raps over, like straight up raps over hip hop beats. Like they're a band that literally can't do it without their laptop. Like I get where he's coming from. I don't think there's any way that anybody can tell you is the right way to perform your art. And so just because the old guys don't think you should be playing to a click or whatever, like, kiss my ass.
Well, fuck that. Fuck you, because that's my question. Fuck the old guys.
Sure.
From there. Do you prefer somebody performing to a click or a track? Or would you prefer a band being there, playing the music and doing what they do without any type of metronome or anything in the equation, what would you prefer as somebody who records people?
It genuinely doesn't matter to me, because I will go see Metallica, who doesn't play to a click, or Slipknot, or a Breaking Benjamin, or like all these. And I'm just naming bands that I know for a fact aren't up there doing tracks or anything. And
even new Slipknot's not doing a track.
Nope, no tracks, no clicks, nothing. Those guys are all organic. I don't even think they track to a click in the studio. I'm almost positive of that.
Because their new record feels like they are. Like it is very like
Jay Weinberg's a freak, man. He's a great drummer.
Max, shout out to Max. And if there's one thing I can add to this conversation, I will say this. I once interviewed Max Weinberg, and he said the best drummer.
For people that don't know who's Max Weinberg,
he's the father of Jay Weinberg, who is the drummer in Slipknot. So,
but who does Max play for?
Well, for the Conan O'Brien band and Bruce Springsteen as it goes. Yeah. So, Chris, you really didn't know this? You didn't know that?
So,
okay.
There's only like a few drummers that I care about in life, and I didn't know his name.
I hope all of them are me, but I will get out of that and say, yeah, I once I had a very, and by the way, Max Weinberg is the nicest person you could ever meet.
I believe it.
And he tours with the E Street Band. He is Bruce Springsteen's drummer. That's who he is. But his kid just said, hey, I'm going to go play with Slipknot forever. And that's what he did. And he's great at it. And I was very blessed to have this opportunity to sit down and talk with Max, who was the drummer on the Conan O'Brien band. Chris, you might have watched Conan O'Brien.
You ever heard of that guy?
Only on TBS, and because he has a podcast, and he's also funny.
There's that, and he kind of gave me this breakdown about how his son was so much better than him because he plays with Slipknot, and I was like, really, like you're like, come on, man, Max Weinberg is one of the best, most iconic drummers,
absolutely,
of the last 30-40 years, especially when it comes to Bruce Springsteen. Like he's the guy. He's the one.
You know that Jay played for Bruce for a minute too.
I do. Yeah.
So
when Max
Jay
can do it,
Jay can do it all.
I know.
And that's not to say that he is better than Max. I'm just saying that Jay is definitely more than just the Slipknot guy too. He has the actual chops.
Yeah, he does. And that's once after I interviewed him, I went back into the Slipknot catalog, and I went back and I watched the videos because like you said, Jay went out and toured with the E Street Band for like a year. He did a whole tour. He went out to Europe and did all that. He's a great drummer. And I looked at it and I said, oh my God, yeah, this guy's great. And Max is great. They're all great. They're all fucking great.
Musical legends. What the whole family of them, those assholes. Chill out.
So, final question here.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No. Bring it on.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah, I just want to go see the band perform the music the way that they feel it's supposed to be performed. If they want to play to a click, sure. If they want to play without it, sure. I don't think there's a wrong way. Is my whole point. My point that I was making on social media the other day when we kind of talked about it was that we have all these elitists out there telling people what is the right and the wrong way to do art that's not theirs. And that's none of their business. It doesn't matter. Now, I will say there are bands out there that I'm aware of that are literally miming everything on stage but vocals and drums. And it's not my place to say who that is. And that to me is going too far. That's pretty disingenuous. But doing things like playing to a click track, having a third guitar part, a choir when you can't have a full choir on stage with you because there's no money in music, get out of here. And also, can we just stop saying that people are like Milli Vanilli because they play to a click track? No one's up there lip syncing. I've had enough of that. It's so stupid. It's 2023. Get over it.
I don't know.
Sorry. I'm coming off my soapbox now.
I love that. I love that.
So good. And also shout out to Amberlin playing Cornerstone main stage in 2008, literally miming everything but drums.
Well, see, I didn't know that, and that's not who I was talking about, so don't put that on me. I didn't know that was a thing.
No, that's fine. And also, I was a kid, and so I'm looking at their amps weren't on, and I'm listening to stuff, and okay, maybe I was wrong, but I don't think so. Anyway, final question is, so Ironfoot's studio
and for audio.
on Ironfoot Audio, because you're not in just a studio, you do everything.
Everything.
When people come to you and say, hey, we want to do this stuff, and you get in there, like the whole process, what's your pet peeve? And when are you like, I'm going to cut ties with these MFers? Like, what's your moment of like, if this goes any further, I'm done? And I'm assuming it hasn't happened yet, because you're a very, very nice human and you're very tolerant. However, there's got to be a breaking point.
There's definitely people that I would maybe just say I don't have any availability if they ever ask me to work together again.
So it's yeah, but I guess but what is it about said people? Like not character traits, like obviously like there's something there, but like is it like, hey, just not being prepared? Like what is it?
You know, it's typically not a preparedness thing or even a skill level thing. Because I think that there's ways to work through all of it. Obviously, I would love if everybody came in super prepared and didn't, I could just hit record and not have to worry about editing anything ever. Like that just lightens my workload, But the reality is that we have the tools to fix stuff like that. So if that's what we need to do, like my job is to make the end product the best it can be. And so if it means I need to go in and edit, I will. So that stuff doesn't bother me. It typically ends up being personality trait issues, bad attitudes, unwilling to hear out other people's ideas. And not to say that my idea has to be the right idea, but if you come to me and you tell me you want me to give you my ideas and my feedback, but I give you that feedback and then all of a sudden you want to be hostile, or it causes a meltdown and stalls the whole process, then I'm like, okay, well, maybe we just our personalities just don't work, and that's fine. Maybe, but that just means that we should just work with other people. And that has only happened one time. And outside of that, like I'm still friends with the people. We just don't work together now, and that's okay. You know?
Shout out to Hostile Array for being the
no,
which is not true. That's
not true at all.
No, they're the sweetest people ever. So, Chris, thank you so much for coming on. Thanks for doing this thing last minute. We appreciate you being flexible and taking time away from your family to talk to us.
Of course, so, my pleasure.
So we have all of the links to all the things that are in the show notes. So we'll have links to the Ironfoot Audio. We'll have links to TGI. We'll have whatever. We appreciate you a bunch. And coming out of this show, we also have our Could Be Better bootleg. So this week's bootleg is, let's see here. It's from our show. Actually, this is cool. This will be a good one. This was a show that happened on January 14th of this year. It was at Old Mother Brewing Company. Shout out to the best beer in Frederick. And this is a song from the band Bliss House. Chris, thanks so much for coming on. Appreciate you, man.
My pleasure.
Bliss House.
The Could Be Better podcast is allegedly heard in 25 different countries around the world, and definitely still not recorded in a bedroom.
Yeah, okay. Still, check out our worldwide website, www.couldbebettermeh.com, for links to our social media and our fancy brand new revamped YouTube channel that now has actual video.
And if you don't like what you see, well, neither do we. But if you want to hear from smarter, better, more educated and cultured people, please check out the new podcasts. This is Not My Magnum Opus and The Weekly with Kiki on our brand new Could Be Better podcast network. And don't hesitate to leave us or them, actually, probably just them, a 5-star review wherever you listen to podcasts. Now, Chris, did I miss anything?
Yeah, man, we do a lot of shows. Whatever.
Well, can I find them on our website?
I'm Chris Perry.
And I'm Colin McGuire, and we are out of time. So for now, remember everybody, this always could be better.